this episode of In the House. So we have a great talk today. We have Han Vu from WallBytes here today. And if you don't know what WallBytes is, if you're in the Austin area, Michael and I, we use WallBytes every single project. I mean, there is not a project that we do not have WallBytes. It is such an invaluable tool to have. So if you're unfamiliar with WallBytes, what it is it's essentially it's a virtual map of the project. Usually prior to installation or prior to hanging sheetrock, you're going to come in and map the space. You can map the entire house. And that way, later on, you have a link that you can go back and reference that allow you to see what's inside the walls. And I can't tell you how many times this has come in handy where, it's like, well, where do we run those wires? Or I'm pretty sure there's somewhere. Yeah, those wires are somewhere. Or man, I know there's plumbing in this wall. I don't remember where. And it's such a great tool to have because you can go, right to the floor plan. You can locate that camera. You can pull it up and see that wall. It's, you can zoom in and out, and you can even look around and see inside the space. It's all, 360-degree view. So it allows you to see what's inside the wall after the finishes are applied. And you can find things like stud locations, framing details, like we were talking about electrical, plumbing, blocking, steel, structural steel, all that kind of stuff, the kind of things that you need to know. And then you might be asking yourself, well, who uses WallBytes? So, anybody can utilize WallBytes because, contractors like us, we use it all the time. Owners, builders, developers, renters, even, trades can even hire WallBytes and have this done. Inspectors, you name it. The list goes on. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And then, Michael, what we wanted to start doing was, giving a little bit of shout out to some of the other builders here in Austin and, giving them some praise for their hard work. So who do we have this week on our builder shout out?
This week we've got Balani and Graham. Just finished a great project for House Beautiful publication. Does a house somewhere in the country every year, and Balani and Graham did a great job.
They really did. We had the opportunity to go view that one and before its release, and they did a really good job. A tip of the hat to them because they had to work with a lot of different design teams on that, and it's always a hassle getting information readily available and having that on hand. So I can't imagine having to work with a lot of different designers. But they knocked it out in the park. They did a good job. So if you want to go check them out, Balani and Graham, on Instagram, go see their work. They did a good job. Also, this is big news. This is huge. I just found this. My wife texted me before we started recording. She took a screenshot. This is huge headline. So Chick-fil-A is going to start offering chicken and waffle sandwiches here in Texas. Did you know that, Han?
I did not know that.
Holy crap, this blew me away. Because you probably don't know this about me. Chicken and waffles is hands down my favorite meal. I love chicken and waffles. So I'm super excited. But December 1st is when they're going to start rolling this out here in Texas. So go get you some chicken and waffle sandwiches.
For sure, gonna have to go check that out. I might have to go on a run beforehand, but that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, do the hard work out, and then you go get you some chicken and waffle. But anyway, so Han, I appreciate you coming on and taking time to come chat with us. So I want to get right into your background. Tell us, where you're from and how did you get into WallBytes? Like, where did this come from?
Well, long story short, it started, I guess, after high school and to go into college. My parents are from a medical background. They wanted all of their children, of course, to go in the medical field. And they got the first two to go in medical school. And when it was my turn, honestly, the thing that they gave me more than anything else was time. I didn't have to work, so I had time to read. And I had perhaps read too much, but Talib says that tells me I shouldn't get a regular job. And, and throughout the whole time in college, I was able to travel a lot. One thing just always attracted my attention was architecture and art and music. So, I had to go through the whole thing with my parents. So I have a degree in cell molecular biology. Also, have a BA and a BS, and also a degree in chemistry with the minor in art history and all sorts of stuff.
Wow,
It's been a long time waiting.
okay, what's up? And we snuck that art history, So it's not a thing.
When I decided to go to, I went to a couple medical school interview, and they always asked me that question: "Why do you want to be a doctor?" And honestly, I could not say I wanted to cure cancer, not because I didn't want to, but I felt like there were other people who were more qualified to cure cancer than me, and I wanted to do something that was very selfish and things that kept my attention. And so I applied to for grad school to go to this program in New York City, where they train people to be museum curators and cyclad. And that was in 1998. Along the way, I had to figure out how to pay for college. So I started with a friend, a restaurant in Lubbock. It eventually grew to 4. But it didn't generate as much money as I thought it was. I sold it, went to grad school, and when I got there in '98 in New York City, they were still on the Word Perfect on the blue screen. And I was like, wow, that's old. That's old. And so I interviewed around, trying to get an on-campus job, and went to the exhibition department. And I realized that I can really show them how to do desktop publishing, printing, and things like that. So started working for them as an intern, and then around 2000, I was sent to Seattle to a tech museum conference where Apple was demonstrating this QuickTime VR, where they can take a vase and they were to scan it and show in digital space. I'm like, look, you can see it in the round.
Wow.
And you can also reverse that so that you can put the camera in the middle and record a room. Because a lot of people don't realize that, like, when museums have exhibitions, there's a reason why this painting is next to that one. There's a story that is being told by a curator, and so this may be the only time ever that these 3 pieces will sit next to each other. So the drive to document these exhibitions dates all the way back since the first day of photography. You can look back at old museums, and they always have exhibitions, photos, documents that these what were shown, whether so. And so when I got that technology, came back to the museum, and I started documenting by 13 exhibitions using QuickTime VR. But back in this, you had to put a camera on a tripod, really even it, and spin it.
And manually?
Manually, yeah.
Oh, geez.
And then that was only for one band. Yeah. If you want to look up, you got to come back and tilt it up and do that. And but that was the olden days, and so I was able to recreate 13 exhibitions, and you can walk around and you can and see in space, in 3D space, because a lot of designers spend a lot of time decorating the space and stuff. Most people don't realize that when museums first started, they wanted people to only look at art.
Yeah.
So you're walking to the museums, the walls are white.
Yeah.
Pedestals are white, labels are white.
Yeah, first blank.
Yeah, because they don't want anything to distract you from it. So when technology came up around 2000, a lot of museums were really nervous about people taking the Mona Lisa and running out making T-shirts, I guess. And they were very protective of digital space, and they were very reluctant to go like, no, not to open up our treasure so that people can monetize, but they didn't understand what it was about.
Yeah.
So
it kind of sounds like, this technology that you're using for museum curators, is this what inspired the creation of WallBytes? Because that was very similar.
Well, it took all the way until 2015.
That was Gen 1.
Yes, 2015. In between, I did a couple of projects with Google Glass, even like using image recognition. So instead of coming to a room, you see the labels, the chat of the keys. We go and tap on it, and it will recognize what that is, and it will spit out in the Google Glass what it was. And the show was a Colombian exhibition of Colombian contemporary art. So I incorporated not only in English but also in Colombian Spanish. And when you tap on it, I had somebody read out the label to you.
Oh, that is super cool.
So it was one of the first exhibition that utilized Google Glass, because if you think about how we interact with machines, it used to be punch cards for a weaving machine. Then later on we had keyboards, and then we had the mouse. And then we went to stylus. And then we had the touch screens. So Google Glass came about, and it was about head movement, eye wink, this and that, where people, for example, like hairstylists, can be cutting their hair to make the next appointment. It's not for everyday use, but there's a lot of application for it. So there's other technology that comes up, how to interact with machines, they're like using your tongue to interact. And so Google Glass and things like that will make us more disappears, but will always be part of how we interact with machines.
Right.
We're never going to get away from that, because it's so useful for people who need their hands.
Yeah.
And you can pull up all sorts of information in front of you at needed. And
That's really neat. That's such a cool technology.
There's a lot of potential for that in construction. It sounds like WallBytes is one of those.
You could do it so that, for example, everything's GPS based now, so that when you stand on same place, it knows. So it could be one of those devices that you can stand in the same place every day and look around and see the changes, and you can actually kind of scroll back. Oh, what was that 2 days ago? Good also.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You know the difference between GPS and positional tracking?
No idea.
So GPS is like taking a bed sheet, put a grid on it, and throwing it over a table or something. Everywhere that thing is contoured, it's a GPS. But positional tracking comes in. Now it can tell you how high it is. So, for example, an apartment building has the same GPS coordinate, but it doesn't know it's on the first or 10th floor level.
Okay.
Positional tracking is that next level, but it's more finite. So that
How is it captured? Is it like a local thing? I think it's GPS often relates to satellite, saying it's like a distance of
I think it's more than
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact technology, but my understanding of it is more granular. So it uses like GeoGates it helps to reinforce where it's at.
Yeah.
Because that technology technically is so finite that they can do it on the shelf in Target. They can tell you what's on each shelf.
Wow.
And that technology is used for warehouses where they know where all the parts are in a main warehouse and put level, so they can send those robots out to retrieve them. So that's sort of what positional tracking. And as of like 8 years ago, there was only 2 phones that had it. And they were the Chinese phone. And eventually they'll all have it. Like we all have the GPS phones, chips in their phone, instead of using Garmin's or TomTom.
That's true.
Well, yeah.
So WallBytes, is this like a proprietary technology?
It is not. It is not. It is more like the technique and the use of it. I tell people up front all the time that I didn't invent the hammer, but I can show you 1,000 ways to use it.
Okay.
And in ways that perhaps you didn't think about or using in a different way. Because back in using technology, I've known too many people who are married to some technology when it comes out, and as the things evolve, they're left behind.
Yeah.
So this is more like documentation. So it doesn't matter whether it's 3 photograph now, LiDAR next year, ultron wave or whatever. You don't know. But the whole idea is to capture something before it's covered.
Yeah.
And to see it without it having to be rendered. So let's say, for example, if the wall's already up, you could probably come up with a machine that can see behind the wall, but it doesn't exactly tell you what color that wire is, because it has to colorize it, because it doesn't know.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is another, this is a cool tool, to really maintain accountability. A lot of times, there might be a discrepancy between what a trade might say what happened and versus your memory of it might be different. So it's nice to be able to say, hey, let's stop guessing and just pull up the WallBytes and let's look into the wall and see, did you do XYZ and see.
Right.
So it's a good tool to maintain accountability.
Well, it's definitely a double-edged sword, because it shows everything. And for the majority of lanes. The high-end custom builders are usually very open, because everything's out in the open. The homeowners come to 2, 3 times a week. It's the spec home and the apartments that are on a different.
Different animal.
Well, yeah, different important criteria. They're more timeline based. They're more margin based. So a lot of things happen that's they probably didn't intend to, but it's hard to regulate everybody because I think in the construction trade, the workers start out in apartments.
Yeah.
And then they work their way up into the super high end custom homes. You need the highest quality craftsmanship.
Yeah.
What percentage of your projects, Han, that you do are apartment versus, house, spec home, or custom? And
No apartments.
how does it break out for you?
The majority are high end custom homes. A small handful are spec homes. Cool. Just because it's something that the builder does on the side, or
Like a custom spec.
yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
And then no apartments. No trap homes like big builders.
Those guys don't want accountability.
They don't want it. They don't.
They really do.
Get out of here!
Yeah.
That's trouble.
Taking
pictures.
Yeah, you don't take the picture of that. And not only that, because I take pictures of inside the voids and inside cavities, behind fireplaces, and wherever.
They're really great photo. I mean, you could see, even if there's dust or something on some of the blocking, that's you get really good picture quality. So it's really high def pictures.
Before you were saying that the 3D picture, I want to qualify that by saying that if I do my job right, you should be able to see both sides of every beam and stud.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people have photographic memory when the walls are open, but as soon as you close it, they're like, I think it was there, and people only take pictures of walls that has something in it because they'll say, "Oh, there's something in it. That's why I didn't take any pictures."
That is such a good point. Yes, I tell you, you always have an issue in an area that you didn't take a lot of pictures in.
Yeah.
You think like, oh, this has got a lot of plumbing in it, or a lot of there's a lot of stuff going on. I need to document this really well. And that ends up not being where you have an issue. You have an issue over here where you didn't take a picture. And you're like, God dang it. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. It's like, that's the one area I didn't get a picture. But so walk us through a little bit of the process. So when you show up to the job, it's either single level or multi-level. I don't think it really matters, but you kind of work it like a grid, right? So you're taking pictures, every 3 or 4 feet?
Well, every room has a formula, but from a bathroom to a closet to a circular room to triangular room to odd shaped room. So when I walk in, I figure out mainly I look up in the ceiling and see what's there because that determines how many spots it's taking.
Okay.
Because in a real complicated ceiling, I had to move 2 feet instead of 5 feet.
That's for
so, and then put the grids in between. But the whole idea is I should be able to see both sides of every beam and stud, and
that's awesome.
And that's sort of the rule. I've done so many of them now that's automatic, and it's easy for me to train somebody to do it, to show, okay, if you're in this situation, what to do by a window in a dark closet, there's people moving around, all sorts of stuff. That it's like making this. I always call it a map.
Yeah.
This map has a value all the way up until the house is destroyed. And it's not about what wall colors did you pick, what cabinets did you pick, what kind of doorknobs did you have. It's not about that. It's not about selling your house, selling this house as a dream. It's mainly the structure of it. So so the guts of it. So later on, if you have a problem, you can know exactly where that pipe is instead of having to guess, is it there or is it there or is it there? And it saves time. And it's I try to do it so that if like the ceiling cavity is more than so many inches or feet, then a layer will be made inside of the ceiling cavity. Yeah. But the whole idea is, to help the builder see as much as possible. You may not want to see it now, but 5-10 years down the line, you're like, wait a minute, what's up there? Or
right, you've forgotten it all.
That's also really good. I mean, there's been plenty of times where we'll build a project and 10-15 years later the owner wants to remodel or make an addition. Well, if you had WallBytes on the original structure, on the original build, that is such a game changer because now, I mean, you don't need to tear down walls to see inside, like where's the structure, where's your plumbing at, like you can see everything.
Yeah.
And it just makes that, if you're trying to do an estimate, it makes that estimating a lot easier because you know where things are run. Structural, I mean, it kind of makes the process a little smoother from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because you know exactly what you're getting into if you have WallBytes on that project.
Well, that's what on the builder side, but architects who use it, they use it in different ways.
Okay.
So sometimes they have me come out pre-demo,
Right.
and then they'll have me come out a second time after the sheetrock is taken down, because now they can see where all the water pipes are, where all the was are. So when they go back into designing, instead of having to keep sending architects back out to take a look at where was this and make measurements,
Right.
they kind of get an idea of where everything is. I've also done foundation pre-pour,
Yeah.
so you can see where all the pipes, all the trenches are, so it saves you time later on.
That's huge too.
You know.
I think we've even used WallBytes on like Creek on Night for pool shells.
Yeah.
That's another big one.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be trying to demo or drill into a pool shell because you don't know where those pipes are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. So
That's also
it's like before you place the finished product, whether it's concrete or insulation and sheetrock, before you cover anything up, like it's so beneficial to have things well documented. And pool shells are another one
So I got a question on this here. We were talking about a lot of different scenarios, stages of construction. You're talking about foundation. You're outside. You're in Texas, so it's hot. Or you're in framing stage, let's say, and there's dust everywhere, but you're working with electronic equipment. And you have a lot of different pieces, and some of it's expensive. How do you do that?
Try not to break any lady. I've not been on a job yet where one of my lights was like kicked over. That's a trend that not to be broken.
Yeah.
But I tell people all the time, please be careful because I can replace my lights, but your needs could be expensive to fix. So I don't mind people kicking the lights. I can replace that, but don't trip. Don't trip.
That's another good point. I forgot about how, the lighting, how you bring in, I mean, you literally have like a grid of LED lights on the floors that shine up into the ceiling. So you're not getting a dark picture.
Right.
Yeah, everything's well lit. You see where the plumbing, electrical, and HVAC is. Like,
Yeah.
very, very.
Yeah, but a lot of the attic spaces, you see it clearly now, but after they insulate, that's where most people store the Christmas decoration off season, and it's filled with stuff, and you'll never be able to see things again. But and I think it's useful to have this like a map, it's like a Google map of inside your house.
And I like how it's flexible. So, I mean, because you're working essentially, so what you receive, like if you're the builder or the owner, you essentially receive like a link, and you can click on that link and it'll take you to the WallBytes, and you're looking at, there's like a floor plan, and you can choose, there's dots everywhere, and each dot is where you took a photo, and you can choose in that floor plan where you want to be. But you can also add to it. We've done this plenty of times with remodels or additions where you have an original map.
Yeah.
But if you want to add to the WallBytes, you don't have to redo the whole house. You just add to that link.
Yeah.
You can add a section to it, and I think that's great. That adds that flexibility.
I also want to emphasize that user interface. That's my design. That's
Talk to us a bit about the user interface.
So basically, I wanted to have it as clean as possible. There's no branding. There's no borders. The only branding is at the nadir at the very center. But you can make it so that what people do, they can go full screen mode and take screenshots of that and share that as
which we do all the time. Screenshot and print it.
And there's no there's no address on the maps. There aren't any dates on the maps.
Private. Yeah.
There's no information given. Even if there's a patio picture, usually I try to blur out the neighbors so that there's privacy. So that The link that I create, I send back out. It's also disguised. There isn't any www.wallbytes.so and so, where people can do track everything that has a wallbytes in it. It's all scrambled. And it's I use AWS because it's very stable, and anybody who hacked that is, you might as well have my data.
Yeah. So you're adding that.
Yeah, and it's universal.
I'm not gonna pretend like I know what AWS is.
Amazon Web Service.
Oh, okay.
It's the compared to Google has one, the Microsoft has one. Where they have their data center, they run all people's.
So that's where all this information is stored.
Yeah.
Okay.
That and two other secret locations. That's continuously updated just in case there's a fire, or a case something goes.
So the backups for backups and
Yeah. Basically, typically triple backup.
There's what's your agreement with people typically on longevity?
Open agreement. There's no agreement. I say I'm going to put it out for long years, but it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Because I want to maintain it flexible. I don't want to get into the subscription model. I don't want to get into dinging people, whatever it is every month, because it gets lost in time, and people, it's the subscription model was never been one of my favorite. I think they ruined the internet.
Yeah.
Anyway, because I agree. I think it was the app's personal opinion here, but it was the App Store in 2008 when the Apple phone came out that I kind of changed humanity, because this no longer became a device you can call home and order pizza ahead of time, but now it's my bank, my photo, my entertainment, my calendar, my camera, everything. Where
wallet.
We no longer put this thing down, and it's sort of like the App Store kind of, in my opinion, kind of ushered from the end.
That's a really unique perspective. I didn't really think about that, about kind of this advent of the App Store, and like when all that changed everything.
Multiplication of services,
responsibilities. It changed humanity overnight, practically, because what started as a dollar a month,
right? Yeah,
it $1 trillion turned to $1 trillion.
Wow, that's nuts.
But the internet, it's a great thing.
So what are you looking at with WallBytes in terms of kind of like the future horizon? Like, is there, techniques and technology that's developing it, that's getting better, or where are some areas that, from what you were doing 3 or 5 years ago to today has significantly improved and it's looking to change in the future?
Well, I think that's the future is bright for WallBytes. It's right now I have more work than I want, and I think that it keeps expanding. Ideally for me, if I had some way where someone can in and take over the business and run as a business, and let me fall back and do product development, focus on advancement, focus on seeing what's down the line and how to integrate that, because that's what I'm really good at. The technology, the planning ahead and seeing where the ball's going to land after you kick it. I'm not really good with sales, keeping track of employees, keeping within a guardrail,
right?
Doing discipline, deployment, things. I think I have a product that is useful for a lot of people. I just want to be able to continue to improve on the delivery of the product and use, because there's still a lot more I want to do with that. So like right now, it's still kind of static where you have to change, but it's potential where you can go into a room and it automatically picks up where you are and knows. And what I really wanted for it to do is that I really want the map to only work in the house.
Sure.
And to geo-block it so that the neighbors can't see it. Later on, it's no different than when you invite a plumber over to fix a leak. He has to come into your house and see that leak. And even though the map may be available online, I have a plan to sort of geo-lock it
What about just password persona?
That's so, but your neighbors can still see it. You know, it's the whole idea is you got to be in the house.
Yeah.
And house, no. I mean, they're all
Right.
right.
I like that idea. It's just I think sometimes there might be a scenario where, you know, I might not be at the job site or so and so might not be at the job site and I still need to access it, or, you know, maybe I'm at the office and I need to look at it.
Well,
You never know. But maybe like after project completion, that link becomes locked.
or different level of security and
Sure.
access.
Okay. There you go.
You know, it's like, so it's,
Yeah, the use case transitions then, right? That when it's a job site, is different, it's kind of different level of security and attitude towards project. You have a lot of people coming up later on down the line, but it's somebody's home. Yeah, that's very different sense of security.
their powers,
Right.
it's the state room, the vaults, where power cutoff is, you know, a lot of people we run into are high net worth individual who have security as something that's paramount. Yeah, we all worry about going to HEB, you know, someone's following us, you know.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But some people do, and it's like they're nervous about it. And one of the job site that I showed up at, we had to go through a security checkpoint at the gate, and once I got in, they had another security room with like two guys sitting at a monitor wall. No, I say this guy must be important.
Yeah. Just on the property itself.
Yeah, before you get to further in, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you had like armed guards on the property too.
Yeah, I know there's been a few projects that have had their own.
What kind of life is that? You know,
Hey, that's the life for somebody. It's not for me, but
That's really sacrifice. I think.
yeah.
Yeah, if you're, being rich and famous isn't all that it's cracked up to be. There's some things that you had to let go of. But this is personal freedom.
Yeah, and privacy. Yeah, you've always got somebody with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, the thing about it's an interesting segue to a conversation that, you know, with the Jetsons. Remember the Jetsons with Rosie the robot? See, to me, she represents the unfulfilled promise of the future. And she realized that because she was a robot that you own.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't report back to her maker. She was completely loyal to George, and wherever she was, kind of like C-3PO and R2-D2, right?
Yeah, sure.
Loyalty is, but nowadays everything we buy we don't really own, because they have a right to the telemetry and the metadata and stuff and how it's performing, so they can do updates. And so, you know, will it ever be to a point where we actually own the C-3PO or a personal assistant?
I guess if you build it yourself,
Yeah, right.
but who's gonna do that?
But at some point, you know, it has to mature to a point where it's on its own. We can operate on its own.
Yeah.
Without directions.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
You know.
Yeah, I guess probably the closest thing to that I can think of off the top of my head is a car or a vehicle where it's a machine that's operating, and that technology has a car is stabilized enough to where there's a plethora of options that people can go to for mechanics, where people can work on their own cars if you want to. It doesn't have to be the manufacturer who's helping with whatever, you know, this technology. I can't imagine doing that with the phone. It seems really.
It seems like the higher technology we go, the more unstable the web becomes, because of the independency. You know, it's not like making your own hammer and chisel and things like that. But where you get to a point where we're using laser cutters and things like that, where you have all sorts of different technology just to get to that point. Yeah. And it becomes, our society becomes more and more fragile the more advanced we become, because it's not like, you know, if we live like Indians in villages and teepee huts, if something goes bad, we just pick up and move.
Yeah, that's true.
But our society is not like that. It's
More grounded.
yeah, it's more fragile.
Yeah.
I don't want to say in a pessimistic way, but, you know, it's like the more complications you have, the more things you have to support it.
That's true. It's kind of like this illusion of freedom. Like we have freedom, right? But I mean, it's not like a true freedom like you just talked about, like with the Indian tribes. Like that's freedom. I mean, you're on your own. You're supplying. You're providing for yourself.
Yeah.
And move wherever the heck
You
you
make
want.
your own weapons.
You make your own clothes.
Yeah.
You grow your own food. Hunt your own food, and you make your own house, and everything's on you. Like that's true freedom, really.
It's wild.
But I mean, what we have today is like we have freedom, right? We have liberties and all these other things. But I mean, you just said. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. We're tied to where we are, and it's like it's kind of this uncomfortable thought of like truly being on your own and having true freedom. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of uncomfortable. Oh,
You guys,
you know what I mean?
you guys have kids?
I have two. He's about to have one.
Okay, so this is a perfect example of it. Like kids, when they're born, they don't have anything. I'm totally happy. They don't have really but a handful of things. We're the one that has everything, and as they grow older, they have to have more things that needs update and like the more things you have, the more complicated your life becomes. For example, if I were to give you a pencil box, you're gonna have to put a pencil in it, and then if you can use a pencil, you're gonna need a sharpener. And if you have a pencil and sharpener, you can have pens. I mean, paper.
Paper.
And it's like one thing just begets more and more things that you're tied to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
That's true.
I wonder if that's beneficial or not. I mean, I think in some ways it's there's like the obvious like pro of, well, it forces us to stay more in community, right? You can't do these things on your own. You have to have the help and the people around you, to things, utilities, supply water, or deal with complex technology systems like cars or phones. But at the same time, like, to your saying, there's a fragility to it, and everything has to go really exactly right for it to not fall apart.
Yeah, it's human nature. Yeah, we're always like striving to, like, what's next?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a conversation that we often have about the houses that we work on. Is these, in some way, some of these are technological marvels. I mean, some things are incredibly complex, from the shapes that and forms of them to some of the equipment that they have in them, and even something like WallBytes, where the documentation and the detailing of it, and how we often talk about, like, wow, like, it's in the industry really is kind of continually moving that way. And on some hands, it's incredible and amazing. I mean, you take walls are flatter, floors are smoother, doors work better than they ever used to, but at the same time, you hand somebody the keys to something that is, well, they need service people, and they need, and they have all they have to learn about how to use the house.
Well, honestly, buying a house shouldn't be no different than buying a car. Very few people can fix their own cars, and so it's just no different. And if you have a house that's, it's great if you can do a lot of stuff, but technically you need somebody there to maintain, scheduling when the filter changes. I mean, little things. It becomes more and more complicated.
More and more complicated.
Yeah,
That's pretty just like everything else. Well, Han, I think we touched on a lot of really good points, a lot of interesting topics, and I'm very appreciative of you and taking the time to come and talk to us. And I mean, like I said, we use WallBytes on every project. There's not one that we don't. It's such a useful tool. And guys, if you're in the Austin area or even in the surrounding area, give Han a call. What's the website? It's just wallbytes.com.
WallBytes.com.
Wallbytes.com. Super easy. Go check it out. It's so useful. Please get in touch with them. It's a great tool. So, Han, thank you for coming on.
It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be here, and I'm really grateful and thankful for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we can. Appreciate it.